Welcome back to Hopeful Horizon, where we share stories that captivate your mind and leave your heart full. Today, we're diving into a gripping tale about resilience, redemption, and speaking truth to power. When a smug TV host, known for tearing down public figures, invites a legendary rapper for an interview, he thinks he's in control. But what starts as an attempt to humiliate turns into a viral cultural moment that leaves the world speechless. Stay tuned as we witness an unforgettable exchange filled with wisdom, wit, and a message that resonates far beyond the screen. If you love stories that challenge perspectives and celebrate resilience, be sure to comment below. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell so you never miss a powerful story from Hopeful Horizon. And let us know where you're listening from. We'd love to hear. Bryce Morgan, the polished, impeccably dressed host of Morgan Unfiltered, paced the glossy studio floor with a smirk tugging at his lips. The sleek set gleamed under blinding lights, a perfect reflection of Bryce's ego and ambition. His reputation as a ruthless interviewer who pulled no punches had made him both infamous and revered. Viewers tuned in every week, eager to see which public figure Bryce would humiliate next. Tonight, his target was none other than Snoop Dogg, a legend in the rap world, cultural icon, and savvy businessman. Bryce had planned this interview meticulously, determined to steer the narrative toward controversy. He thrived on headlines, and nothing made for better ratings than a sensational takedown of a celebrity. Bryce flipped through his cue cards, filled with pointed questions designed to corner Snoop. Arrest records, accusations of promoting negative stereotypes through his music, and questions about his relevance in today's culture. It was all there. "This is going to be big," Bryce muttered to himself. He relished the thought of headlines blaring, "Bryce Morgan takes down Snoop Dogg." As the crew made final adjustments, the audience filled the sleek, tiered seating. There was a buzz in the air, anticipation crackling like static electricity. Camera operators gave final nods, and the countdown began. Snoop Dogg entered the studio cool and composed, dressed impeccably in a tailored navy blue suit with subtle gold accents. His trademark sunglasses perched on his nose, and his movements were effortless, exuding a calm confidence that contrasted sharply with Bryce's jittery energy. "Mr. Dogg," Bryce greeted with a firm handshake, flashing his signature smirk. "What's good, Bryce?" Snoop responded smoothly, settling into the plush chair across from the host. The show's theme music faded, and Bryce leaned forward, his voice smooth but tinged with underlying aggression. "Welcome to Morgan Unfiltered, Snoop. Let's get right into it. You've had a long and colorful career. Music, business, philanthropy. But some people say you've also been part of the problem. What do you say to that?" The audience hushed, sensing the sharp turn in tone. Snoop chuckled lightly, a knowing smile playing on his lips. "Man, I've been hearing that since day one. Problem or solution? It depends on who's looking. Know what I'm saying?" Bryce's eyes gleamed. He smelled blood. "So you're saying people misunderstand you?" Bryce pressed. "Because critics argue your music glorifies violence, drugs, and gang culture. How do you respond to that?" Snoop leaned back, crossing one leg over the other. "See, you trying to make it sound like I'm just out here rapping for no reason. But my music, that's a reflection of where I come from. Real life, real struggle. I ain't glorifying it, I'm surviving it." The audience murmured, captivated by Snoop's calm but pointed response. Bryce, however, was just getting started. "Surviving it, huh?" Bryce said, voice dripping with skepticism. "But do you think you've done more harm than good for the community? Isn't there a responsibility that comes with having a platform like yours?" Snoop smiled again, unfazed. "Responsibility? Yeah, I got that, and I live up to it. But let me ask you something. When's the last time you walked through my neighborhood, talked to the kids I mentor, seen the businesses I helped build? I don't just rap, Bryce, I uplift." The tension in the room was palpable. Bryce shifted in his seat, momentarily thrown off by the unexpected composure of his guest. "Well, we'll see about that," Bryce muttered under his breath as they cut to a commercial break. The studio lights flicked back on, bathing the room in a sterile glow. Bryce Morgan straightened his tie, determined to regain control of the interview. If Snoop thought he could charm his way through Morgan Unfiltered, he was sorely mistaken. "We're back with Snoop Dogg," Bryce announced with a toothy grin. "Now, Snoop, you've painted yourself as a mentor and community leader, but let's not forget your past. Multiple arrests, controversial lyrics. Some people say that's a hard image to shake." Snoop removed his sunglasses and set them on the armrest, revealing sharp, discerning eyes. He leaned forward slightly, his expression calm but intense. "I ain't never run from my past," Snoop said firmly. "I own it. But I also learned from it. That's what growth looks like, Bryce." Bryce's lips curled into a smug smile. "Fair enough. But do you ever think about the influence you've had on young people? Don't you think some of your music promotes violence and drug use?" Snoop's expression didn't waver. "Bryce, let me tell you something. My music don't make people pick up guns or sell drugs. You know what does? Poverty, lack of education, no opportunities. But see, folks like you want to blame the artists instead of the system that creates the struggle." The audience erupted in applause, but Bryce ignored it, his jaw tightening. He leaned forward, voice dripping with condescension. "Isn't that just a convenient excuse, though? At the end of the day, aren't you just a rapper who got lucky? What makes you think anyone should listen to you about serious issues?" A collective gasp swept through the audience. Even the camera operators exchanged uneasy glances. Bryce had crossed a line, and everyone knew it. But Snoop? He just smiled, a slow, deliberate smile that spoke volumes. "You done?" Snoop asked coolly, tilting his head. Bryce blinked, caught off guard. "Excuse me?" "You heard me," Snoop said, his voice steady. "You done trying to tear me down for ratings? Or you got something else you want to get off your chest?" The audience sat on the edge of their seats, anticipation crackling through the air. Bryce opened his mouth to respond, but no words came out. Snoop continued, his tone measured but powerful. "See, Bryce, you sitting here acting like you know me, like you know what I've been through, what I stand for. But you don't, and that's cool. But what you not gonna do? Disrespect me or what I've built?" The audience burst into applause, the sound echoing through the studio. Bryce's face flushed red, his carefully crafted composure unraveling before millions of viewers. "Let's take another break," Bryce muttered hastily, signaling to the crew. As the cameras cut off, Snoop leaned back in his chair, exuding the same unshakable calm that had carried him through decades of public scrutiny. Bryce, meanwhile, sat rigid, his confidence shattered. And the audience? They knew they had just witnessed the beginning of something unforgettable. The tension in the studio thickened as Bryce leaned forward, clearly enjoying the discomfort he was trying to inflict. He thought he had Snoop backed into a corner, painted as just another celebrity clinging to past fame. The host's smirk hinted at triumph, but Snoop Dogg, calm and collected, didn't flinch. Snoop took a slow, deliberate breath and leaned forward, locking eyes with Bryce. "First off," he said in that smooth, unmistakable voice, "I ain't just anything." He paused, letting the gravity of his words hang in the air. "I'm an artist, a businessman, a father, and a man who's seen the streets and the boardrooms. I built my empire from the ground up." Bryce blinked, clearly thrown by the shift in power dynamics. The confident TV host was suddenly on shaky ground. Snoop continued, his voice steady but firm. "But let me ask you something, Bryce. What have you done for the community, besides run your mouth and tear people down for ratings?" A gasp rippled through the live audience. Even the cameramen, seasoned professionals who had seen countless interviews, seemed frozen in place. Bryce's jaw tightened, his usual arsenal of snarky comebacks failing him. The audience erupted into applause, a wave of support that swept through the studio like wildfire. Bryce's face turned a shade paler as he struggled to maintain his composure. "See the difference between me and you?" Snoop pressed on, his gaze unwavering. "I use my platform to lift people up, not drag them down. Maybe you should try that sometime." Bryce stammered, his voice faltering. "Well, I think..." Snoop didn't let up. "Nah, I ain't done. You sit here acting like you know my life, like you know what I've been through. But what you don't understand is that I've walked through fire and came out stronger, and I'm still here, doing good for my people." The audience was on its feet now, clapping and cheering. Bryce's attempts to regain control of the interview were futile. His carefully curated persona was unraveling before everyone's eyes. Snoop leaned back in his chair, his composure intact. "So maybe next time," he said with a smile, "you think twice before trying to play somebody who's been through more than you can imagine." The rest of the segment was a blur. Bryce, visibly rattled, stumbled through his questions, his confidence shattered. Snoop, on the other hand, maintained his effortless cool, answering questions with poise and wisdom. As the cameras cut to commercial, the audience erupted into a standing ovation. Snoop nodded graciously, acknowledging their support. Bryce sat in stunned silence, the weight of his defeat heavy on his shoulders. By the time Snoop left the studio, the clip of his epic clapback had already begun to circulate online. Within hours, it went viral, shared millions of times across social media platforms. Hashtags like #Snoop Speaks Truth and Bryce Exposed trended worldwide. Memes flooded the internet, Bryce's stunned face juxtaposed with Snoop's calm, collected expression. One popular post read, "When you try to play a legend and get schooled instead." The media frenzy was relentless. News outlets picked up the story, replaying the now iconic moment on repeat. Commentators praised Snoop for his composure and wisdom, while Bryce faced mounting backlash for his abrasive tactics. At the network headquarters, executives huddled in damage control meetings. Bryce Morgan had always been a polarizing figure, but this time he had crossed the line. Viewers flooded the network's inbox with complaints, demanding accountability. A statement was issued the following day. "We value respectful and meaningful conversations on our platform," it read. "The recent interview on Morgan Unfiltered did not meet those standards. We apologize to our viewers and are taking steps to address the situation." Behind closed doors, Bryce's fate was sealed. His show, once a cornerstone of the network's primetime lineup, was quietly canceled due to plummeting ratings. Bryce himself issued a public apology, though it rang hollow to many. "I let my desire for sensationalism cloud my judgment," he said in a carefully crafted statement. "I apologize to Snoop Dogg and to everyone I disappointed." Meanwhile, Snoop used the newfound attention not for personal gain but to launch a campaign supporting youth mentorship programs. He partnered with community organizations to provide resources and opportunities for young people. "It ain't about me," Snoop said during a press conference. "It's about giving back and making sure the next generation has a chance to shine." The campaign garnered widespread support, with celebrities and activists joining the cause. Donations poured in, and the program quickly became a beacon of hope for countless young people. Back at the network, Bryce packed up his office in silence. The walls, once adorned with accolades and photos of high-profile interviews, now felt like a monument to his downfall. He had built his career on tearing others down, and now he was the one being dismantled. As he left the building for the last time, he couldn't shake the memory of Snoop's parting words. "Sometimes you gotta speak truth to power, even when they ain't ready to hear it." Snoop's story became a cultural touchstone, a reminder of the power of resilience, humility, and speaking truth to power. The interview that was meant to tear him down had instead elevated him to new heights. And as the world moved forward, inspired by his message, Snoop Dogg remained true to himself, a legend not just in music, but in life. Thank you for joining us on this thought-provoking journey of resilience, advocacy, and cultural empowerment. Snoop's story reminds us that speaking truth to power can shift the conversation in unexpected ways, sparking change when it's needed most. If this story moved you, be sure to comment and share your thoughts. Don't forget to hit subscribe and tap the bell so you never miss another impactful story from Hopeful Horizon. And let us know where you're listening from. We love hearing from our community. Until next time, stay hopeful, stay inspired, and always stand tall in your truth.